Hi, everybody.
Hi, here we are back again. Welcome, welcome. And for our Americans in our community, happy holiday weekend. Carola Eastwood.
And Chetan Parkin, welcome.
Yeah, so we're here with the star field and planetary news for the remainder of November and for all of the month of December. So each of us has more than 25 years of practicing astrology and human design. And through that time, if you work with something long enough and diligently enough, you develop a mastery. And we really have reached a point of some unparalleled mastery. How we see that playing out is in the results that our clients are getting when they work with us, both having readings or mentoring with Chetan or coaching with me. And also our people who are studying human design with us. We just have, in the last few years in particular, the most amazing groups of people who are really graduating from our training with a lot of expertise. We're really happy about that. And it's our delight to share with you some of the main highlights that we've culled and that we see unfolding, looking at the energies of the times, from month to month, and particularly this time is it's a little bit more. Everyone I've talked to is like, what's going on? There's so much energy moving and so much transformation happening. We're really in some very powerful times. So this complimentary 60-minute broadcast is open to all. Of course, everyone in our community. You're also welcome to invite your guests, people that you know that might enjoy the broadcast. They're all welcome to come. And we want to give a warm welcome to those of you who are with us for the very first time. Also, we want to make sure you know, and we encourage you not to miss our holiday reading special. It's a value-packed resource for working with us privately one-on-one. It takes you into a deep dive of your personal journey in life so you can enjoy more success and more fulfillment in 2023 and in all the years beyond. So take a look at it. You can just go to our website, evolutionaryhumandesign.com/holiday-readings. You'll have a private 1.5 deep dive with Chetan.
1.5 hours, 90 minutes. Yeah.
And then you'll have another 60-minute coaching session with me to support you to take all the information that Chetan has shared with you in your design and really put it to use in your life and in your business. So we invite you, those of you who are called, do take advantage of that special. It's probably the last time we're going to be able to do it for the fee that we're doing it for right now.
What's that thing called, inflation?
Yeah, well, we haven't changed our fees for this program in 7 years, and we're probably at that point where we should have done it a couple of years ago. So get with us now while the fee is still a great bargain for almost a half a day of one-on-one time with us. Okay, so with that said, let's begin. We're going to start by looking at the last bit of November. We're broadcasting here on November 26th and Saturday, and we're just coming out of two recent eclipses. And an eclipse is a very powerful change point for all of humanity. It's a time, if you haven't noticed, your life has been rocking and rolling a bit, lots of challenges and things coming to the surface. We had one eclipse at the end of October, on the 25th of October, 2 degrees of Scorpio in, that was gate 28, line 1. And then we had a lunar eclipse, a very powerful lunar eclipse on November 8th, 16 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio. What are you showing me? That it was in his third line?
Gate 2, line 3.
Yeah, gate 2, line 3. Yeah, and gate 1, line 3 on the other side. So eclipses bring extra powerful changes. So with the moving energies of each month, as the moon moves through every single gate in the human design and every single sign in the zodiac and all around your astrology chart every month. It's bringing a new sets of experiences, and the experiences, ideally, if we're living a conscious life, they're designed to support us in our quest for the lifetime, whatever that is, which of course we can see through looking at our life path and understanding what our purpose is in this lifetime. And then each month, working with the energies that are presented to us in order to continue to move more and more steadily towards that overall goal that we set out for the entire lifetime, whatever that might be for you. When we have eclipses, they bring powerful change points. It's like big wake-up calls saying, well, here's where you are right now. It's time for a big check-in, and maybe some recalibration or some big changes, maybe a big leap. You might be ready for a big change in your life. And if either of these two eclipses that hit significant points in your chart, which would be the very early degrees of Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, or Leo, 2 degrees, so 1 to 2 degrees, 3 to 4 degrees of those signs, then that solar eclipse on October 25th really was for you to sit up and pay attention to. And for those of you who have planets in the middle degrees, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 of Taurus, Scorpio, or Aquarius, Leo, that's also that lunar eclipse on the 8th of November has your name on it. It certainly has your name on it, doesn't it?
Apparently.
So here we are. The sun moved into Sagittarius after 30 days of traveling through Scorpio. And we know when the sun's traveling through Scorpio, we're in a period of some deep dive self-reflection. It's a time perhaps of healing. It's a time of addressing some of the issues or the concerns of our life or of the time that we're living in now. It's a time for some healing and some reconciling, and a time often of deep transformation. When we come out of that, when the sun goes into Sagittarius, usually that feels quite joyful. That happened on the 22nd of November. It may or may not have been joyful for you when we had that shift, because there are a lot of challenges at the same time. But the energy starts to shift, and that began on the 22nd, and now here we are on the 26th. By now, the sun already 4 degrees of Sagittarius. It's on its way into this fire sign that aims us for the sky. It takes us into a higher perspective of our lives. You know, we look at possibilities, we expand our horizons, we set our sights on new goals. It's often a very exciting time. The energy is right around the close of the month now. Venus and Mercury together. Venus, the planet that has to do with love and all the yummy things in life, love, money, and comfort and beauty, conjunct or right together with Mercury, the planet of communication. So we're and both of them in Sagittarius. So we're really given an opportunity to see what is our big vision. And this is a good time to be asking ourselves that. What is our really big vision for our entire lifetime? What is it that our soul is called to do? And where are we within that call? Are we answering the call? Are we taking inspired action towards that goal? On the other side of that, Mars, the planet that has to do with our work in the world or our business, our professions, in the sign of Gemini, in retrograde motion. And I think many of you who've been following this for a while, you know what retrograde is. It's the apparent backwards motion of a planet. And when a planet retrogrades, it's retracing a period of time through the human design matrix and also through the astrological field where it's just been. So it's going back over old things. So essentially, it's bringing us to a time of review. And what are we reviewing? We're reviewing our work, the work that we do in the world. Are we deeply satisfied with everything we're doing? Is it fulfilling for us? Is it bringing us the the flow that we want in terms of money, in terms of opportunities, in terms of being able to use all of our gifts and skills and talents. Are we satisfied with our work? Are there things that need to change? And if there are things that need to change, certainly that's going to be coming to our awareness really strongly here at the latter part of November, with Mars moving into a right angle with Neptune. We might not be able to see yet here at the end of November what that change needs to be. We might just having feelings of dysphoria or something needs to change, but we don't know what it is yet. Just if we just acknowledge that, there's some things that are really needing change or up leveling. What will happen if we acknowledge it and we stay open to it, then we'll get the inspiration as to what that change is or that new direction is in the coming few weeks. So that's what I have as the overview, the end of the month of November.
Well, you covered the effects of the eclipses that happened. And how many? We get a couple or three a year, is it?
We get usually 4 eclipses per year.
Yeah.
They come in sets of 2.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was a total eclipse of the moon on the 8th of November. And in this gateway number 2, and gateway number 2 has had a lot of presence from the planet Uranus. And so Uranus always brings the new, the unexpected, the breakout, the fifth dimensional possibilities, like the rising out of, business as usual, if you will, or always having to kind of do the needful. Uranus very often gives us a shortcut. And so the eclipse, which is basically a moment in time, a full moon eclipse is basically the sun's on one side, the earth's in the middle, and the moon's on the other side. And the sun is blocked from reflecting off the moon by the earth. So the earth gets in the middle of it all. And so it's almost like a blackout in a way of recognizing what the moon is doing for us, or what kind of energy the moon is holding for us. So without making too much about this, it was just really the second gateway is the gateway of receptivity. And receptivity is allowing ourselves to get messages from the universe, to just put it any other way, that sometimes we get to know something and we have absolutely no idea how it came to us, why it's involved with us, why it's something that we're relating into the world. So we will all have recognized around this full moon eclipse that there was something very much shifting in our perception of life. Coupled with that you've talked about briefly, was the Mars retrograde that took place right at the end of the month of October. And, Mars is all about our activities and how we do stuff in the world. And when it goes into retrograde motion, it's a time for reinvention. It's a time for reinventing what it is that we do, how we put our energy out into the world. This goes on all the way till January the 12th. So we're in this space in time at the moment where it might look like the way we've been going about stuff and, full ahead on things. It's like all of a sudden, hang on, this doesn't seem to work so well anymore. So great time to allow ourselves to revise, review, have another look at it all. And so at this time, at the end of the month of November, we're all subject to this thing of rearranging our concepts about work and how we go through things. What has also happened in the last couple of days is the sun moved into gateway number 34, which is gateway of power. And all of us as a sovereign being are allowed to, I might say allowed to, but it's like, it's part of our nature is to be a powerful presence here. And a lot of times we're never given that kind of encouragement. And the great thing about power is learning how to use it well and, use it responsibly, use it from a place of love and in accordance to the needs of the moment. And of course, always from an inner balance. We all know what it's like to push too hard on something or to not apply enough push on something when it needs it. So we're in the last few days of experiencing that. We may have seen these last few days were a little bit busier than usual, but it's just to see, it gives us a great opportunity of recognizing how to use our power. The big event from my point of view here, looking in human design, is we've had the nodes of the moon, which basically represent the destiny path for humanity. They've been in the same part of the sky for quite a while now. North node in the second gateway, which was corresponding with that full moon that we had, the full moon eclipse. Where it's going now is into gateway number 24. And 24 is right up in the top of the mind center in the human design chart. And it's the gateway of deep thought. Well, I think all of us know the possibility of overthinking things a little bit. So that's going to be pretty much the pattern for these next months ahead of us while the nodes go through the 24th gateway. The South Node, which is where we're coming from in a sense, which is in gateway number 44, which is the gateway we call I call it the gateway of patterns. Mm-hmm. It's that thing of following a single thread until it reveals the whole weave of a pattern to you. It's like the gateway of instinct. You can't explain instinct logically. It just all of a sudden you get a hit, you get a heads up, you get a sensation of something, and you realize the picture is being revealed to you. So to me, coupling this with the full moon eclipse that's just been, coupling this with the movement of Mars going backwards through all our work and helping us re-examine what it is that we do and how we do stuff in life. Also, we're getting this heads up on, maybe trusting our intuition, maybe looking at this side of our life more clearly, recognizing the potential to want to overthink stuff, to question a lot of things about life. As we go out of the month, we have the South Node, as I said, in gate 44, the gateway of instinct. And as we go out of the month, first off, we have Mercury, and then we have Venus moving into gateway number 26. And those of you familiar with the human design chart will know this channel, the 44 to the 26, is a signal channel in terms of entrepreneurial activities. So in amongst this whole thing of rearranging or recognizing how we might do something differently with our energy, with our work, with our presence in the world like that, we're getting this whole connection of just seeing, oh, here's a whole new angle to how I normally go about things. So just a great time to be. Mercury is very much how we communicate. What are we telling people? What are we hearing? What's the communication buzz around us? And Venus very much about who and what do we draw to us at this moment in time. So what I'm kind of pointing towards is not necessarily a massive career change for everybody, but all of us are having our approach to work and our activity in the world rearranged. And the more open we can be to that and allowing for it, maybe even embracing something that had never occurred to us before. Yeah, and just seeing that's what the energy is happening for us at the end of the month.
Mm-hmm. Over to me?
Over to you.
Okay. So one more thing about the end of November, and then we'll take you into the first week of December. And that is that we have a first quarter moon on November 30th. So right the last day of the month, first quarter moon. And essentially what that does, we talked about the new moon, the energies of the beginning of this new cycle. And as we come into the first quarter moon, so wait, where were the energies with the new moon? They were back in early Sagittarius. Okay, so now as we come into the first quarter moon, the sun is at 8 degrees of Sagittarius, the moon at 8 degrees of Pisces, hence your first quarter. So essentially what that means is that we have the seed that was planted in the latter part of November with the new moon, and that started a whole new 30-day cycle for our lives. Of course, it was, we were still integrating from the eclipses as that happened, but that new 30-day cycle is now picking up some momentum when we get to the 30th of November with that first quarter square saying, all right, what are the actions now? What are the choices that we need to make? So we've had this sort of interchange and the looking at things deeply, and now it's time to take a look at, so what do we do about all that? And there's some phenomenal aspects here at this first quarter moon, because you were talking about Venus and Mars together. They are tightly together astrologically, 18 and 20 degrees of Sagittarius.
Venus and Mercury,
sorry. Right. Yeah, together 18 and 20 degrees of Sagittarius, and that's gate 34 in the human design. Exactly opposite this retrograding Mars at 19 degrees of Gemini. So essentially, when Mars and Venus, Mercury together on one side and Mars on the other side, they're in opposition. The energies are pulling in opposite directions. So Venus Mercury wants to dream, wants to, wants to set its sights on all kinds of new possibilities and future plans and visions. But Mars retrograding in Gemini is saying, well, wait a minute, there's a lot that needs to be cleaned up first. There's a lot we need to dredge up and look at and really take a look at and make some hard decisions on before we just go flying off to the moon. And then coupled with that already, that tension of those two opposing poles for us, we have both planets, all three planets, being squared, having a right angle with Neptune. So making it very difficult for us to see clearly what really is the next step. So here we are, we're at a time when it's time to take action, but very difficult to see what does the action really need to be. So my coaching to you on that is follow your design, live your design, move according to your type in life, relate according to your profile, and make decisions, for God's sake, please, according to your authority. And so even if you can't see the forest for the trees right now, or if you can't see the road for the fog, if you simply pay attention to your design, it is your inner compass. It is what will guide you moment to moment to moment towards the experiences and the opportunities that are really meant for you. So this is a really good opportunity for us to let go of our customary ways of kind of trying to get a hold of our life or control our life in some way or another, and really allow life to move through us while recognizing that it's just for us to remain clear. That's all we need to do, is just remain clear and make clear choices. The other thing that's going on with the sun having moved into 8 degrees of Sagittarius, forming an exact, almost exact, it will be in a few days, triangle with Chiron. So there's a lot of healing energy available to us now as well. Pluto, the planet that has to do with power and inner transformation, in a beautiful linking energy with both Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces, essentially saying all the power that we ever needed to accomplish whatever we want to accomplish with our life and experience whatever the quality of experience we want to have, all resides within us. And it's just for us to tap in to that quality. The other thing that's happening here on December 3rd is that the planet Neptune is doing a station. It's been retrograde for months now. It's turning direct. So we're going to be able to see more clearly the direction that we're headed in over the coming next week or two. And perhaps the first real inkling of that will happen as we get to the full moon on December 7th. Are you ready for me to go there, or do you want?
I wouldn't mind filling in a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
So as we come into December, what I was saying is we were leaving November, we have access to this channel, the 4426, which is very much an entrepreneurial channel. It's very much a healing of the heart channel. And why I say that is because in human design, we have the spleen center on one end of the channel, we have the willpower center on the other end of the channel. The context of the willpower channel is, we would like to think that we have free will, and it's a massive debate whether we do or not. But in the end, what do we really want in life? What really is that has great value for us? Have we ever really sat down and worked that out for ourselves? Or do we just get swept up in everything that's going on here? So the opportunity for all of us in this time, one thing leads to another. I'm saying we're getting these downloads from the universe. That was the eclipse. We're getting the Mars station, which is basically saying, have a review at everything that you're doing and how you go about it. And what is also happening this time at the end of the month of November and going into December, we're having a re-examination of what it is that's in our heart of hearts. And I'm just saying it's so important for us to actually listen to what we're saying, listen to what we're hearing, and see if we can find the resonance in it, the match of what it is we're hearing, what it is we're saying with what it is that really holds great value for us. And to me, latching onto something that really holds value is it's the essence of life in a way. It's about being totally in touch and in frequency with your life. So on one side, we're seeing, there's a whole bunch of fog. There's a whole bunch of potential things. And Neptune, has been in gateway number 36, which is the gateway of crisis. In the basic I Ching, they call it darkening of the light. You're going into a tunnel, you have no idea, there's only light in the tunnel. And a lot of fog, a lot of things around us, politics and carry on and behaviors and media. It can be so confusing. And what this particular connection is here between the 44 and the 26, it's just reminding us what it is that really holds value for us. Most of us don't have the willpower center colored in. We're talking 70% of people. There's only 4 possible connections in there. Just statistically, most people don't have it. I'm talking 70%. So while this channel is in place here, and it goes up until the 4th of December, we have this opportunity to really go deep inside ourselves and recognize for ourselves, am I involved in things and actions and activities that resonate with me, that are in my dearest place in my heart, or not? And if we're not accessing that, then, with the Mars retrograde, re-examining how we do stuff and really re-examining what is in our heart of hearts. We're here for a lifetime. We're here to have this extraordinary lifetime. And if we're caught up in everybody else's obligations, we are never going to come to a place of fulfillment. And I'm not saying drop everything. I'm not saying that at all, but I am saying this is a great time to re-examine what it is that holds value for us. And the beautiful thing about this channel, the 4426, is it's quite possible to drop those things that really don't work and to pick up those things that really do work. And as Neptune does this turnaround in gateway number 36, and all of a sudden we get access through the Earth going into gateway number 35, we have this channel that gives us the possibility to completely change gears. And I'm just saying, it's an opportunity. It's one of those rare opportunities. Throughout the rest of this year, for a large part of next year, we're going to get that channel of 35, 36. Time and again, different planets, different activities going on there. And you just see, by image of changing gears or, maybe steering down a different road all of a sudden, that is what's coming up for us. And just for us to recognize the courage and the possibility to be able to do that. So I'm going to hand over to you about this full moon now that comes in their first days of December.
Very powerful full moon. I don't know if you've noticed this, but the full moon is the moon is in Gemini, 16 degrees and 2 minutes of Gemini, opposite the sun, 16 degrees of Sagittarius. But what's phenomenal about this particular full moon is it's conjunct exactly Mars within minutes. I mean, not a degree of arc, minutes of arc. So it's what we call combust.
And you'll actually see this in the sky if you go out at night and watch for this.
Yeah, it'll be pretty blazing because the moon will be right there with that red planet.
The little red dot and the big old moon.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially, when we have a full moon, it brings to light whatever it is we're working on for that particular month. So what's being brought to light here? Well, the full moon is shining a light in the most profound way, like right in our faces, right in our eyes, on what? On the retrograde Mars, saying what is it that needs to change in your life, and in particular in your work and the way that you're expressing your work in the world. It's if we were trying to avoid this question at all, we just didn't want to deal with it. It's not going to be possible by the time we come to the full moon. It is in our face, and we must answer this question for ourselves. Are we still satisfied with the work that we're doing? Is there something that needs to change? Something that needs to up level? Something we need to let go of? Is it time to retire? I don't know. Whatever the change is for you, what is it? And really going deep until you get that crystal clarity, and then trusting that clarity and moving with that clarity. That's the way to work elegantly with this full moon. It's a very, very powerful full moon. It's not gone out of range of that right angle square with Neptune, but it's it's not, as powerfully connected with Neptune. Neptune has an influence there. It's saying, whatever you see that it's time for you to change or time for you to do differently. If you simply trust that you can let go of one thing and grab onto the next, the image I get is like of what is that trapeze artist, where they're swinging between those two bars, and at one point they let go of one bar, and then there's a moment in time. There's a moment in time where they're kind of in free fall before they grab the other bar. That's essentially what this feels like, a little bit like that free fall. But if you trust it and you trust your own capacity to be aligned with your truth, you'll grab that next bar and just keep moving. And essentially, that's where we are with this full moon. It's a big point of change. Uranus, at this point where the eclipse happened, and Uranus was there when we had the eclipse, the November 8th eclipse at 15 degrees of Taurus Scorpio. Well, Uranus there at 15 degrees of Taurus is basically bringing to light, this wasn't just a normal eclipse. This is what eclipse that brought profound kind of change, inner change that gets expressed in our outer life in one way or another, whether it's, financial system changes, or, there's big new innovations, big changes going on in the world, and we're being affected by them, or they're changes that we're making in our life. It does feel a little bit like that free fall, but if we stay connected with source, with our own truth, and we just keep our awareness there, then we find ourselves on the other side of that change, and some very different kind of pathways opening before us. That's essentially the meaning of this particular full moon. Very powerful full moon. Yeah. So let's see, is there anything else to say about it? Well, yeah, so, and then Mercury has left Sagittarius. So Mercury and Venus have been together in Sagittarius all month so far. Mercury's moved out of Sagittarius now at the full moon into Capricorn. Venus will follow very soon. Both of them at a right angle to Jupiter, which, right angles usually are stressful aspects, but the only stress here is with Jupiter is over expansion, or, having too big of an idea of what we can get accomplished within a certain period of time, that sort of thing. So it's a bit of modulating our goals, getting a little bit more realistic about what can be accomplished within what kind of time frame. Saturn, the planet that brings us to that realistic picture, there's the rules and the laws that the third dimensional plane operates in: time, space, karma, action, reaction. Saturn governs that whole realm of life, and it's in a really flowing aspect with this full moon we're talking about. So it is saying that even though there are some big leaps ahead of us, there's a way to do those that don't throw us, for so much of a big loop that it destabilizes us. There's a way to do it that's a little bit more systematic, a little bit more practical. See what the change is. What is that next hoop you're going to grab? But then take reasonable actions towards that next objective. That's essentially what that's saying.
So I'd just like to chime in here with the full moon that takes place. We're saying that Neptune has just made this turn in gateway number 36, and the full moon is taking place in gateway number 35. So, there it is. The 35-36 is an opposition, and it creates this channel of experiencing everything. And so we're going to get this channel over and over again, as I said, in this next year. And I describe it like changing gears, or just in changing gears, realizing you come to the end of whatever this gear can do, and it's time to move into something different and change the pace and change the direction, maybe change the whole experience. So this particular full moon is very much about that. It happens in gate 35. The gate 35 is called progress or progress. And It's part of what we call the experiencing circuitry, where we get into things, start out in an experience, we get involved in it, and we wrap it up, and we move on into something else. And the 35 is at kind of the end of the experience, saying, well, did I get anything out of that experience? And so very often in life, we can go round and round and round, try and do the same experience over and over again. And, sooner or later, we get absolutely bored and fed up with the idea. So the 35, in a sense, is always looking for the spiral. It's always looking for the upward motion in terms of, yes, I've had this experience. If I'm going to do anything like it again, I'm going to have to evolve it into some different angle. I'm going to have to redo the thing in a completely different fashion. And so that is the nature of this full moon, is just seeing, again, along with everything else, am I fed up with the experience that I've been having so far? Am I is life seeking to show me something very, very different? And there's that possibility. So I'm going to read the line number, the 5th line that this full moon takes place in. It's the line that's called being honorable, tempering expectations in favor of progress. We all have these great expectations about what life is supposed to deliver for us. When we're a kid, we have all these ideas. I can't wait to grow up and, get involved with this and that and the other. And then we find we end up in a very different life experience. But the great thing to see is the experience is always seeking to take us upward. It's always seeking to take us into new realms of life experience. And so in a sense, that's what this full moon's all about. It's saying be honorable about it. Recognize there's always the possibility to grow, right? Drop the expectations, right? Nobody knows exactly where things are going to end up. And the great thing with expectations is you can expect to arrive somewhere feeling about something or other, and your feeling is something completely different. There may be that momentary sense of triumph, but all of a sudden, there's nothing to substantiate it at all. So what it's saying here is just really trust in the experience that you're having, that life is taking you places, and always look to see the upward trend. No need to repeat the same experience over again. Always look for the edge, always look for something that's going to take you into something different. Mars, in astrological process, is absolutely alongside the moon in this moment in time, but in human design, it's actually one line different. And so Mars gives just a slightly different picture around this sense of progress, and it's called self-examining, a readiness to re-examine and realign your outward feelings. Mm-hmm. And there's that thing of coming to terms with, I've just had an experience. What do I draw from it? What do I derive from it? Do I get the sensation of fulfillment from it? Am I ready to move on into some other experience and expression of my life? So that is something of the flavor around this very, very powerful moon. Neptune is going to carry on through gate number 36, the gateway of darkening of the light, or like I prefer to call it, crisis resolution. The resolution happens when you embrace a crisis and do the needful things to make it move on. And it comes down to that whole expression of the journey of 1,000 miles. You start with that first step. You recognize a crisis for what it is. You recognize how you're equipped to engage with it, and you move through it. So the whole of 2023 Neptune's going to be in that 36. So this is just giving us a little bit of a foretaste, this full moon, of what it is that's coming next year. It'll be crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis. And the whole thing is, if we ever engaged in this life, to have an interesting lifetime and to see that we have this massive possibility to engage and meet any challenge that comes our way and grow through it all. Right, to be the sovereign being who's having this whole experience. So we're going to get that foretaste around this full moon.
Yeah, I agree. The word crises comes from the Greek word krino, which essentially means to know, to come to know something. So it's, the root of the word is really about bringing your awareness to something. So crisis doesn't necessarily mean disaster. Not at all. It just means it's a point of like, heads up, really take a look here. There's something to learn, something to change, something that needs to be addressed. And that's really all it means. So the more elegantly we just flow with that, the easier it is for us to navigate any quote crises or big changes in our life. Part of the problem that we have in the world is that we resist change. And that's kind of, it's so anti-life because the only constant in life is change. It's the only thing we know for certain we can rely on is that things will change. Everything's always changing. So the more we get really fluid with that and allow change, and we just roll with it and just stay connected with our truth as change happens, then the more we get to benefit from the changes that are happening all around us and within us. When we come to this next stage of the third quarter moon on December 16th, we have another quote crises, another big period of a wake up. This one, the sun now at 24 degrees of Sagittarius on the 16th of December, and the moon in a closing phase with the third quarter phase is a closing phase on the cycle in the sign of Virgo. So, we can't separate that third quarter square from the fact that Neptune is also right there, and Neptune and Jupiter highly involved in this third quarter moon. What is that saying? It's saying, well, whatever we realized that we came to, we recognized at the first quarter and then at that full moon, the realizations that have happened, the new awareness, the coming through the tunnel back into the light, or the grabbing that next rung on the trapeze and moving to that next higher possibility, whatever that is, it's the steps to implement and to work with that now need to be brought down to earth. It's a Virgo moon. They need to be brought down to earth, bringing the inspiration into the actions and integrating the inspiration into everything that we're doing, taking action in orchestrating these changes. Now that we see what needs to change, because the vision by now has gotten clear, it's time now for big orchestration. Venus and Mercury are together still, but this time in the sign of Capricorn, which is more about, roll up your sleeves and get the work done. It's more about applying yourself, effectively applying yourself. And it's both receiving some challenges from Chiron. Chiron in Aries. Chiron is that planet that has to do with the linking of the higher self and the lower self. Where do we find that connection between the personality self that we think of ourselves to be and the soul essence that we actually are in eternity? And how do we open to the voice or the guidance, the clarity of our higher self and allow that to come through us? That's essentially the challenge of this third quarter moon. The ease and the grace there is that Venus and Mercury also are forming a triangle with Uranus. So this planet of big changes, big awakening, stepping into higher dimensional frequencies and awareness, expanding our awareness. We take the way that we are working and the way that we're communicating and the way that we're engaging in our world, Venus and Mercury together in Capricorn, and align it with the inspiration that comes through Uranus opening us to new possibilities, showing us a new way, and then grounding that this is happening in Earth sign. So it's about grounding it and making it practical, making it real. It's not just an idea, not just a concept out there. It's actually needing now to be brought down to earth and put into action. And the energy is there for that to happen really beautifully. The other thing at this period of time, from December 16th to about the 23rd of December, is that we've got the planet Mars now picking up some speed in its retrograde, or its apparent backwards motion through Gemini, in a very positive linking energy with Chiron, that planet I was just talking about, which is the awakener, that awakens us to the possibility of aligning with our soul essence and moving our life from the inspiration of our soul rather than from the inclination of the personality. So it's that shift. So we're shifting we're aligning. Mars has to do with our work, the way that we do the work, the type of work that we do, or the audience that we do it for, or the customers that we have, however our work plays out in the world, we're aligning it with our higher vision and connecting it in a way so that in the end, if we do this, if we go through this change, we end up potentially being much more highly fulfilled in our work. That's what I have to say about that.
Very good. So I've talked a good bit about this channel, the 3536. We have Neptune on the one end of it, where Neptune is just making this very gradual turnaround to start going direct again, and will stay in that 36 throughout the rest of 2022 and all the way through 2023 as well. So 36, what I'm calling the darkening of the light, the gateway of crisis or crisis resolution. That whole thing about recognizing we are all equipped to deal with whatever crisis situation shows up. But as Carola says, we have a certain reluctance for change, to change our patterns. If you look at Neptune in here, Neptune is very much about our inclination towards our recognition of spirituality and love for love's sake, and that whole sense of love that's incomprehensible in a way, but that we know somewhere deep inside of us that exists. And hence it's kind of a little misty or a little foggy. Sometimes we can't always appreciate what it is. But the greater inclination with Neptune is to have some kind of fantasy about what spirituality is. And, you know, what is our connection? Are we a sovereign being, or are we subject to higher ordinance? Are we on this earth to have our own experience as a sovereign being, or are we, you know, kind of just treading a treadmill on behalf of something else or somebody else? Or so Neptune going through the 36, like first the 6 lines, it's going to go through a whole thing. It's going to do all these variations on the theme of what is our spiritual connection here? What is our belief system? Where are we tied into this stuff? Are we excusing ourselves from being true to our own sovereign nature because, well, you know, we're a sinner, or, you know, we don't know what we're doing here, or whatever? Are we going to ultimately make excuses for not stepping up in our own life? We're going to get this channel 3536 over and over again in 2023. Mars is in it now from the 9th through the 21st of the month. As I say, we're going to get a foretaste of a lot of the action there. And this is all about up-leveling life experience. It's all about taking life experience in an upward motion, moving out of a trap of just continuing the same old experiences all the time, births, marriages, and deaths, and moving up into some real connection into our spiritual nature. What is also taking place is the Sun in the 26th and South Node in the 44. So we have this channel of the entrepreneur, which I was talking about earlier, this healing of the heart in terms of, am I really involved with what I love to do? We come to the 20th of the month. And at this time, the North Node, as I described a little earlier, is in gateway number 24. So North Node is the destiny path for humanity. And at this time, Mercury goes into gateway number 61, which is the gateway that concludes that channel, the 6124. We had Pluto and Uranus in here for a large part of 2020 and 2021. You know, a lot of us had to constantly rearrange how we were thinking. It's when the COVID happened, we had to kind of reinvent basically how we thought about life. And so now Mercury is going in there. Mercury is just about to do a retrograde turn at the end of the month. So it's going to stay in this channel for a good while, well into up until the 4th of January in 2023. So the 22nd through the 4th, we're all going to have this 6124 channel again, where we're really examining what is truthful. What is the truth? What's the truth about my life? So on top of everything else, you know, this rearrangement of our activities and our pursuits in life, and recognizing what it is that really has value for us in life, we're going to have to go into some deep thought about it, and to see as a planet, as a humanity, what are we all doing here? So we come up to a new moon on the 23rd of the month. Would you like to launch in there?
I would. I'd
Go
love
for
to.
it.
Okay. Right before we come up to the new moon, though, we do have the winter solstice that happens on the 21st to the 22nd of December. Of course, we're broadcasting from California. And so for us, it happens at the end of the day on the 21st. From a lot of the world, it's happening on the 22nd. But the winter solstice is a period of time for a pause, where we just take a pause, ideally, and really assess our life once again. It's the beginning of a brand new season. The wheels are turning. Everything that's been playing out for the past 3 months is being wrapped up, coming to conclusion. What we learned, what we gained, what the experience was, we're wrapping that up and really getting ready for launching into the next 3-month period of time. It's a powerful point of reference for all of humanity that happens just a few days, 2 days, day and a half before the new moon. So we had our full moon, we had our third quarter moon. Now we've come to the next new moon, and this one happens in Capricorn, because at the winter solstice, what happens is the sun leaves Sagittarius and it moves into 0 degrees of Capricorn. So we have the winter solstice and we have a new moon, basically at the day after the solstice at 1 degrees of Capricorn. And what's really astrologically significant about that, because it happens once a year, but this year it happens just as Jupiter has left Pisces, where it's been for a year, basically, and entered the sign of Aries. And it did that on the 20th of December. So right around the same time here, the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, we've got all this movement. Jupiter moving out of this water sign, this Piscean sort of watered down kind of experience of expansion into Aries, which is all about forging a new path and, moving in new directions and being all fired up about the new thing that can get done or get expressed or get explored. So we have a real change point of energy right here at this solstice time and at this new moon in particular on the 23rd of December. Mars, the planet that has to do with our work in the world, still in this very favorable, powerful linking energy with Chiron, awakening us to ways in which we can do our work that are most reflective of our highest truth, and therefore we're going to be, first of all, much more effective, remunerative, but also much more satisfying and fulfilling. We're seeing Venus and Mercury still together there in Capricorn. It'll be a little while. It'll be into the beginning of the new year when they join up significantly with Pluto, and that's going to be a whole new big beginning. But for now, they're still in this triangle flowing energy with Uranus, the awakener to higher states of consciousness. So let's just say that the universe is conspiring right now to give us everything we could possibly need in terms of pressure and challenges, but also in terms of opportunities and openings and awakenings to really shift our lives and therefore shift our experience. And to do that in a way that positions us to be able to, in one way or another, however we do it personally, interact with the world or help the world to shift its reality, which is the only name of the game right now at this period of time that we're in. So very, very, very powerful new moon, very powerful new start as we head into the end of 2022 and start looking forward to 2023.
Well, just from the human design perspective here, it's fascinating to see yes, another powerful full moon, powerful new moon. And I can't necessarily see the connection with Jupiter that you're pointing out. Jupiter's in gateway number 25, which is the gateway of innocence, which is our true nature. We are innocent beings until we get taught all kinds of stuff about life that really, is oftentimes questionable. But anyhow, this new moon takes place with the sun in gate 15, the sun in gate number 10, the earth in gate 15, and the moon in gateway number 10 alongside the sun. When you look in the I Ching, and I goodness knows how many years I've been playing with the I Ching and looking at it and, constantly bowled over by its wisdom. But gateway number 10 is one of these fascinating gateways. And in the human design, it's on the side of this, what I call the self center, other people call the G center. It's where we get our sense of direction, purpose, connectedness, and love. And the 10th gateway in human design is seen as one of the love gateways. It's the love of the game of life, as in, are you having fun now with whatever life throws out in front of you? Can you meet the challenges that come your way? And of course, the I Ching comes from the Chinese, and the Chinese is very much a pictured language. And the image of the 10th gateway is treading on the tail of a tiger. So you imagine yourself, you're walking down a pathway, and all of a sudden, innocently, that stripy thing you just put your foot on is connected up to a tiger. And, you know, mortal danger is the potential, right? So, you know, the Chinese way of saying this is like, what are you going to do about it? You know, you've just drawn the attention of a tiger there, or a major challenge is coming your way. Beautiful thing about the fourth line is the fourth line is very ready to make friends with the tiger. It's very ready to say, oh, I'm so glad I got your attention, you know, maybe we can do something together. So what I'm kind of pointing towards here is this moon in the 10th hexagram and the fourth line is very much a time of opportunity. And what we're saying is, so far as the opportunities of this season, if you will, have been to open up new possibilities in our life, to re-examine what it is that's really important for us, to look at the possibility of treading off in a different direction or starting something completely different. And it's certainly about raising our consciousness as a sovereign being in this mass of misinformation that's going on around us in the world.
And it really is time for this now.
Yeah. So there it is. That's what I see around this new moon, just before the holiday, or just in the middle of the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many festivals going on at that time.
So we're wrapping up now. Of course, we're going to be back with you again on the 24th of December. We'll be broadcasting that day. That's a Saturday. If you can't attend live, for goodness sake, go ahead and sign up, because then you'll get the recording, and then you'll be able to view the monthly broadcast at the time when you have a more relaxed time to focus on it if you're too busy around the Christmas time. But do tune in to our monthly broadcast that goes out on the 24th, because we're going to be talking about what's coming up in the new year. We're going to be laying out the entire month of January in a way for you to see really clearly how you can sort of navigate these very complex energies that are coming. And the other thing I want to just make you aware of is right here at the very end of December 29th, we do have Mercury, the planet of communication, turning retrograde.
Nothing like starting a new year with Mercury in reverse.
And Mars in reverse.
As well.
So 2023 is going to start with both the planet of communication and the planet of action in retrograde motion in a period of review. We'll be talking about that more when we do our next monthly broadcast, and we really hope to see you there. And also want to just remind you that on December 10th, which is a Saturday, we will be broadcasting we'll be doing a show in which we look at the entire year coming up, 2023. So we want to invite you to join us for that as well. We'll give you an overview, kind of going month by month, quarter by quarter, of this phenomenal new year coming up.
Phenomenal, different.
Yeah. So once again, our pleasure to get to be with you and share a little bit of the news from the stars.
We'll see you again soon.